Meet Detective Ruka. He's a lazy, arrogant, bickering, money-grubbing alcoholic sleazeball that's so sloppy and rebellious at his job, he's considered the worst officer in the entire police force. But he's a damn good detective when he wants to be. Hi, my name is August, and welcome to the August Tale. And today we are going to be diving into the 17th Republic's police force into the 13th Division, a place where all problematic individuals are stationed for work. These are the tales of our main character Ruka Hiryuu as he lives his life meeting elves, pixies, princesses, and superpowered humans in one hell of a fantasy metropolitan city where the sun doesn't shine. In other words, this is just his average Monday, regrettably so. Today, we are going to take a look at Meteor World Actor. If I had to sell this visual novel alone, I bet it all on our lead detective, Ruka Hiryuu. His rebellious attitude gets him into more trouble than what it's worth, so things are never that simple, much to his disdain. His behavior with his adult coworkers, combined with his cynical and witty humor and his compulsive lying, makes every single interaction in this visual novel amusing, especially since almost every single person treats him like scum of the earth. The writing does a fantastic job to complement this too. Written by Shougo Kinugasa, the author behind the popular light novel series Classroom of the Elite, every single conversation is its own unique flavor of short, snappy banter. There's some fantastic comebacks and inner thoughts from Ruka that just oozes what type of person he is right off the bat, being as unfiltered, crude, and sassy as he damn well pleases, which results in everyone taking the piss on Ruka, especially his newfound rookie partner Clarice on many occasions.
ルカ先輩じゃないんですから。何でもありません。実に偉そうですね。さすがですね、ジュンさん。
Everyone's got their own unique way of putting him down, all with their own special scornful facial expression. It's amazing. And the best part, it's also humorously justifiable too. He's fully responsible for whatever hell comes his way. And yet, I can't outright hate the man, because he's entertaining, experienced, and reliable when he wants to be. He's got a good detective sense paired with a keen instinct and experienced street smarts. He knows he can't always play by the rules to achieve the results that he wants. It's damn near impossible for him to do so anyway. So instead, he takes advantage of all possible tactics available to him, even the scummy ones, if needed. He might not have the authority of Ikuta, the top dog of the police force, or the resourcefulness of Strykos, the mercenary businessman, but he does have his intuition and cleverness that aids him, whether it's a fight for his life or a fight for extra rice on his meal.
やっぱりわからないんですが。メルさん、無視して作っちゃってくださいね。
Ruka's entertainingly problematic behavior aside, one of the great things about Meteor World Actor is its expansive and well-developed world. There are multiple countries, which includes pixies, elves, sagots, and even mythical dragons. All of these races are combined together in the 7th Republic like a melting pot, and with it comes a bunch of socio-economic problems. Racism, prejudice, and injustices galore. Information about these races and their lifestyles are sprinkled in on a need-to-know basis, and the conversational style doesn't make it feel like background info dumping. You'll be surprised how much random one-off tidbits you'll end up learning about the races, some of which end up being unusually relevant to the detective case as well.
寝てる間に相手を殺したんじゃ。目覚め悪すぎだからな。
Despite Ruka's rebellious reputation, there's no doubting the amount of years he's been on the force. Ruka doesn't have any outstanding prejudice against any of the races, but Ruka has seen some nasty stuff over the years, including a massacre, and he full well knows anyone could be a killer.
There is only one thing worse than a rapist. Boom. A child.
Plot-wise, Meteor World Actor is rather unconventional in regards to its story structure. Rather than sticking with one case and making that the focus, although the visual novel is separated into chapters, there are instances where it throws out a lot of plot threads and slice-of-life events, making Ruka run around like he's on a fetch quest, like it's an open-world JRPG. However, because of how many plot threads there are out there, it creates Meteor World Actor's biggest problem: no proper closure. While some plot threads wrap up, others tend to not have definite conclusive endings, leaving it ambiguously open-ended. And the ones that do break even in the end result, almost to an ironic comedic effect by how much it happens. It seems like there's almost no positive gain through Ruka's solved cases. It's always either break even or be in an even more worse position than before. Much like Ruka himself barely making ends meet, but surprisingly being able to afford a couple of drinks at the bar. After the common route, depending on the choices that you made, you will land on a heroine route. but considering it's Ruka of all people, it just feels so strange. Romance, of all things, feels the furthest away from his life goals.
あ、ルカ起きてた？
Even Ikuta, the individual he utterly despises to his core, says that relationships are out of character for the man. He's definitely not cut out for it. But you know, maybe it's the character of the individual that matters.
どんな男性を求めてるわけ？私はお金さえあればいいですけどね。でもお金がなければ論外です。それは、食堂の皆さんがそう言ってましたよ。女の子は着飾るために生きてると言っても過言じゃないからね。それに比べて変質者にも見えるけどね。もしどちらかと問われればストライコスさんでしょうか。
Maybe. Starting off, we have Mel, a sweet and sincere girl, where just placing her right next to Ruka could poison her innocence. With her status as the runaway princess of the rebel-overrun country, her route focuses on her unique circumstances, so it's up to Ruka to be the unlikely prince to help her out. I know, bear with me. Over time, Mel gradually expands her worldview outside of her sheltered life through Ruka's protection. Private protection, that is. It's a cute relationship nonetheless. Now, despite how tiny she looks, Chiffon packs a lot of raw power within her, being from the inherently tough race known as the Segets. She's a brave and honorable girl who's just too kind for this world, but unfortunately suffers from a very real problem, being miserably poor.
いえ、私はシフォンなどというものではありません。いえ、決して余裕ではありません。
One can't even fathom how this girl manages to live day by day, so it's Ruka's quote-unquote obligation to take her underneath his wing. But because she's a Seget, known for being incredibly strong, it leads to some strange events due to her interesting quirks. Her route spends a lot of time delving into the details of her species, and I like how it's done here, but I do think it strays away from Ruka's occupation and the visual novel's fundamental premise. It's humorous for sure, and Chiffon is cute as hell, but there's plot threads that had my jaw drop from just how out of left field it was. Next we have Komachi, one hell of a high maintenance girl where beauty's her fame, mixers are her game. At least she tries, despite her incredibly unrealistic standards.
結局のところ、いい男ってイケメンで高身長でお金持ち。あとはパートナーに文句を言わない寛容な心の持ち主でおしゃべり上手。それと家事も分担してやってくれる。それが理想の男性じゃない？
She's got similar traits to Ruka, being abashedly stubborn and selfish, but it's that stubbornness of hers that brings them both together. Turns out, the more time you spend with a workmate, the more attracted you are to them, who would have thought? Maybe not in the Stockholm Syndrome-esque way, but in the, hey, we got nothing else to do during our shift, let's make out type of way. Komachi's route also has ties with the main story, and discusses briefly what's really at stake, what's more important. The pursuit of the ultimate justice or the person that you love. It presents a nice ultimatum to finish off the route, but there's that restless feeling knowing that there's a greater threat out there. And last but not least, we have our rookie on the police force, Claris, an elf girl who's duty-bound and firmly believes in justice as long as she's on the clock. As Ruka's new partner, the duo spends a lot of time together through their cases, and they're a great comedic combo. It's Meteor World Actor's take on the buddy cop dynamic, combining an earnest newbie with a seasoned veteran, with the spirit of the law-abiding idealist cop and the attitude of a streetwise, old-school detective, respectively. Their interactions and banter are some of the best in the visual novel, as they rag on each other's behavior. I'll have you know, Claris isn't an absolute pure-hearted individual either, being a cheeky recruit not afraid to tort back at her older partner. Even through their banter, their personalities at their core contain kindness and warm affection for each other as a detective duo. Even their 8 scenes together are compelling, being very much in character for the two, but also being passionately intimate. It was adorably cute, funny, and sexy at the same time.
人間的な言葉を知ってるとは思いませんでした。聞きたいですか？きっと殴られると思うのでやめておきます。
Claris's route dives deeper into the origins of the two leads, the reasons why they became detectives in the first place. It's the most backstory heavy out of the routes, but it's such an intriguing and in-depth story as Ruka himself is shrouded in mystery and regrets. It's the best route of the game, and I would recommend reading this one last. But it's the best route of the game with the most open-ended conclusion out of all of them. It's a large step in the grand scheme of things, especially when the story continues in its sequel, Badge and Dagger, but it's such a lukewarm ending to the whole route. Don't get me wrong, I still had a fantastic time with this route, but I can still feel the pain of having these unresolved plot threads left unanswered. Like, whatever happened to Melissa in the end? What's the deal with this cursed restaurant? And how are you not going to explain these draconian monstrosities? For the soundtrack, I got one question for you.
You like jazz?
It's a wild and energetic execution fitting the crime detective visual novel, with plenty of songs to accompany a multitude of different scenarios, even going as far as to have multiple different variations of the same song. There's a sense of bountiful energy that these tracks have, and it's all because of its jazzy lead instruments, sounding off fanfares and upbeat melodies like it owns the place. Energetic, lively, and snazzy with its trumpets and saxophone. It's not just jazz alone, but the visual novel also throws in some swing, hard rock, and blues in there. That smooth saxophone alone sounds incredibly sexy, bordering on Careless Whisper's levels of jazz. The visual production is also high quality, presenting itself with a sleek and clean looking UI. The backgrounds are also full of life with its urban cyberpunk-esque aesthetic. While the 7th Republic never sees the light of day, it still looks as bright and lively as the inhabitants that live in it. And it's not just the environments, from the out-of-the-way retired workplace of the 13th Division, to the warm atmosphere of the local restaurant, to even Claris's dreadfully plain room, the interior designs are also full of personality and style. It's a well-developed production, blowing it out of the park with its sleek character designs, impressive background scenery, and a snazzy soundtrack to boot. Meteor World Actor is a full-on fantasy urban detective story experience. Carried by Ruka, moments in this visual novel are never dull. Ruka's entertainingly rebellious attitude, in addition to the lively, well-rounded cast, creates an engaging story, supported by its stellar production quality. And with its great foundation of its in-depth world, makes each encounter and mystery even more fascinating and intriguing. Unfortunately, like I said before, while its initial conflicts are resolved, the battle still continues, leaving open endings and plot threads that may make you feel unsatisfied. That said, there is a sequel called Meteor World Actor Badge and Dagger that will continue the story, but for right now, this detective case isn't over. Despite all this, it's a well-developed and enjoyable visual novel that I had a lot of fun with, and wholeheartedly give a strong recommendation. Meteor World Actor gets a 4 out of 5 with a seal of recommendation from me. And while I'm not sponsored, although I would appreciate sharing this review to get more people to play this visual novel, there's a direct link to purchase the game in the description down below. If you've also played the game, helping spread the word would also be heavily appreciated. Given that the game is extremely difficult to find easily, I wish more people would be more aware of this visual novel because it's such a great story to read. And as always, subscribe if you liked the video and want to see more. Check back every week for new content. Check out some of my other anime visual novel reviews on my channel if you are interested.